Anne is off to school to study, and this is a college of sorts. It's a 2 year professional college. So here she is. She's learning to be a teacher, and at the end of 1 year, she'll get a teaching certificate because she decided to take the harder road. Um, Honestly, some of my biggest regrets from school are not taking the harder road. Um, I was in a advanced math class and I was just getting tired of it. And it would have saved me half a year of study plus gotten me ahead for other classes. And I decided to take the easy road and dropped out. And I shouldn't have. I kind of regret that. I didn't take AP classes, and I should have taken AP classes in high school. AP classes get you college credit. The classes I took weren't that much easier. Um, and then it would just be take a test at the end, and depending on the score you get, it counts for college credit. It's like a 1 through 5, and 5 is perfect, and 5 is kind of just about every place for college credit. And I could have saved myself a lot of trouble if I just worked a little bit harder a little bit earlier. So that's, I think, the important lesson here that Anne did this right. And hard work at the front makes it easier at the end. And that's really something to pay attention to. Do the hard work immediately, and it'll pay off more in the end. This is sort of a compound interest thing uh, because you build upon your growth, and a little bit of growth at the beginning gives you a better starting place for the next stage and a better starting place for the stage after that. So that if you run, if you start out one step ahead, then you can finish 2 steps ahead the next time, 3 steps ahead. And a little bit of hard work, a little bit of determination will get you a long way. And so that's Anne's goal. She wants to work hard, she wants to make it, and that is very admirable. She's talking about going to Redmond, which is a college, I guess, in Canada, and getting a BA, a Bachelor's of Arts. And she can pretty much only do this with a scholarship because then $250 was an incredible amount of money. One last thing, they mentioned the Queen's School, the Queen's Girl. This queen would be Queen Victoria. England has had several queens. Some of their most prominent rulers have been queens. Actually, there were 3 queens that just reigned for insanely long periods of time. The first was Queen Elizabeth I. She took over after the death of her father Henry VIII. She oversaw the building of the New World. She oversaw the building and colonization of the New World. She was one of the people most responsible for America being America. And Virginia, the state of Virginia, is actually named after her. How you get Virginia from Elizabeth? She Queen Elizabeth I never married, so she was the Virgin Queen, and so Virginia was named after her. The second queen of note of England was Queen Victoria, who was the queen referenced here. Queen Victoria was the late 1800s. She oversaw the colonization, or she oversaw the expansion of the empire into India. She oversaw the building of trade routes around the world. The Industrial Revolution happened under her reign, and it's grossly referred to as the Victorian Age. So it was the Wild West happened then. All of these, it was truly an age of wonders. And the most recent queen was Queen Elizabeth II. She took over shortly after. She took over in the 50s. I can't remember the year exactly. but she reigned until she passed away recently, and is one of the longest reigning monarchs ever, which anywhere in the world, out of all of the people in the world. And what's really impressive about that is that she did it starting as queen as an adult. Because if you're to take a look at the people around her on the list of the oldest reigning monarchs, they took over when they were like 2 or 5 or 7. And, they had regents who reigned for them. But those are the queens of England. There were other queens, Queen Mary, a couple of Queen Marys actually. Um, who one of the first one was Elizabeth's sister, half sister. Another Queen Mary was Mary of William and Mary, who co-reigned with her husband, William of Orange. They were put into place a little bit later after Queen Elizabeth in the 1600s because, well, Queen Elizabeth didn't marry, didn't have any kids, so it's like, okay, we go looking for cousins. And they were cousins. Queen Anne, who was the last queen to use the veto power, last royal monarch to use the veto power, which is kind of insane because it's been a while. Um, but in theory, the Queen of England can say, no, this is not a law. Because in England, all laws are enforced under the name of the monarch. So right now we have King Charles III. And so if the English Parliament passed a law that says everyone must wear green hats, or more likely forbid the wearing of green hats. So if the English Parliament said no person can wear a green hat, Charles can say, no, I veto it. This is not a law. This will never be a law. Um, and because, as I said, in England, all laws are enforced under the name of the king. And if the king says that's not a law, that's not a law. But it's been a couple hundred years since anyone tried that. So we'll. It probably won't happen. Well, maybe if Parliament passes a green hat law, we'll see.